When you go and visit London, it can be overwhelming to decide where to go or what to do. Attractions are overpriced, food is often overpriced, heck, we all know London is just overpriced these days. But what about those places that take London prices and push them even higher? The ones that lure you in with crazy theming or made up proclamations? Well, I was recently in London and I decided to try out all of the big name restaurants that arguably fall under the category of tourist trap. I've got 3 to visit, each varying slightly, yet still somehow managing to serve very similar food. I'll be ranking each of them out of 15, giving them up to 5 points for service, food and price before determining which ones, if any, you should consider visiting. I want to start off by saying as well that the fabulous Ed Chapman did this video, so shouts out to him, but it looked really fun. I wanted to try it myself and try some of these restaurants myself, so here I am. All 3 places I'd never been before, and we started off for breakfast in London Paddington at Angus Steakhouse.
My mistake though that I have come here for breakfast instead of dinner, but I just wanted to get a steak, and they do steak for breakfast, so I think we'll go with that.
Yeah, so I wanted to try steak here, obviously, and I was worried that we wouldn't get steak for breakfast there, which I also didn't know they did do breakfast there. And lucky for me, that American classic of steak and eggs was on the menu for the ripe old price of £16.50. The picture of it looked good, but one thing I've learned in life is if there are pictures of food on a menu, well, let's be honest, it never looks like the picture, does it? It's always a bit worse. In my experience, it's rarely a good sign. After we ordered, I took the time to have a proper look around, and you know, I liked what I saw, to be honest.
It's cute in here actually. Aesthetically, that's what I'm having. But aesthetically, I really like it in here.
Our coffee arrived, and it did look like a flat white made properly, which was a good sign.
Service already, very, very high. They are really, really lovely here. Really, really attentive, which I really like. So yeah, good so far. It's actually a really good flat white.
Now, I didn't record this for obvious reasons, but the table won over from us when we got there, and while we were waiting for our food, they were cooking up a huge fuss, complaining to the owner, complaining to the staff, complaining to whoever they could that they'd been waiting so long for their food and they had to get a train to catch, which is kind of fair enough, but then finally their food did come out and they said that it was really, really cold and they were just not happy with it at all, so they literally just stood up and left without even paying. So that didn't really feel like it boded too well for what we were about to get. But finally the food came out and well, it looked okay. It looked like a slightly anemic version of the picture. Caroline had the pancakes with banana, which also looked a little bit sorry for itself. As I say, never trust the pictures. Never. Morning Sam thought that
This is actually delightful.
but looking back, I was just hungry. The yolks weren't runny or seasoned. The potatoes were bland. I had to season everything myself. But I will say, the steak was actually good. Cooked how I like it. It was tender, seasoned well. For the main part of the dish to be good, it was. So yeah, that was good, I suppose.
And I can understand why Americans like steak and eggs for breakfast. Never had it for breakfast before. I could get behind this quite easily. Even
The onion mixed into the bottom was also a nice touch.
not the best, but certainly not the worst. A little bit better than I was actually anticipating.
So Angus Steakhouse, my first experience of Angus Steakhouse ever. I'm actually pleasantly surprised. It came to about £38.50 altogether, and that's obviously for 2 breakfasts. Pancakes that Carolina had were £10.50 for 4 pre-made pancakes with a little bit of banana on top. So price not great. Overall, I'd say the service was impeccable. We're going to give the service 4.5. I'll give the food maybe a 3.5. Price, maybe a 3.5.
So Angus Steakhouse starts out with an 11.5 out of 15. I thought it would be lower. Maybe I'm just overly generous with my scores. In fact, I definitely am. But let's move on. So the reason I was in London is I had my friend's stag do that day. So after a long day and heading back to the hotel, it was a fresh morning ready to go to these next 2 places. Just thought you should know that when you all query why my shirt changes in between these next 2. Next up was the Hard Rock Cafe. I've walked past this place 1,000 times, never once thought to go in. Until now. Hard Rock is in the heart of Piccadilly, has giant flags outside so it can't be missed, and is accompanied by a shop that sells everything from drinking chests to weird candles, teddy bears, clothes, glasses, a little bit of everything.
It is not cheap at here.
Don't know who the target audience is for all this Hard Rock merch, but they stay open and someone's got to buy it, so it clearly works. Probably tourists, I imagine. That makes sense. There's memorabilia from different artists hanging around too, which I suppose is where the main appeal comes from.
I've just spotted something which is actually kind of disgusting. £4 for a Sprite, Coke, the Diet Coke, £2.50 for water. That's not good. That is not very good at all.
After a little while, we were finally let downstairs for our table. We were just a wee bit early as all, and they hadn't started letting people downstairs for lunch when we got there. But eventually we did make our way down, and the main restaurant is actually pretty cool too. If you like music memorabilia, then this place is definitely for you.
This is so cool. Kind of makes me sad though that Noel Gallagher's guitar is just sat up there gathering dust, but it's still cool.
Do you know what else is cool? Subscribing. So, you know, be cool.
The prices aside so far, I think it's pretty cool in here. I really like it.
Yeah, we had another 2 coffees, and just for those 2 coffees, they cost more than £10, and it was Lavazza. Lavazza coffee. Lavazza coffee is not good, and it's certainly not worth £10 for 2 of them. After another short wait, we finally sat down and ordered a bit of food.
It also must get really busy in here because, yes, it's kind of just open, but there are so many staff. Like, so many. There's at least 20 members of staff to the left. Most of them stood around just chatting. I mean, they're lovely, don't get me wrong, but I'm assuming it's going to get much busier, right?
The menu had what looked like an AI lady on it, and it creeped me out a bit, but we ordered a few bits and had a chicken flatbread, some chicken wings, chips, and a salad. And you know what? It looked good. It did. But I'll get to the price later. The wings were alright actually, a nice marinade on them, the blue cheese sauce was good. The chicken flatbread,
I was expecting this to be bigger for the price.
trying it, it was okay. The chicken was a bit dry, the salad and seasoning was good, so it had a nice freshness to it. And a bit of crunch, but dry chicken often outshines everything else. But not in a good way. Celery and blue cheese sauce is always nice though. The chips were just kind of bad chips. Under-seasoned, tasted of oil, I wasn't too pleased with them. Following the meal, they give you this scratch card for money off at the shop, and I did it wrong. I thought I had to scratch all 3. Apparently it's just 1 and I'm a dum-dum, but I didn't really want anything at the shop anyway. Let's talk about Hard Rock. I really liked the atmosphere, and I actually really liked the staff. Like, the atmosphere was really cool. I liked seeing all the memorabilia, the staff, really nice. We'll give the staff and the service 4.5 again. In terms of the food though, it was only okay. It wasn't the best thing in the world. The chicken wings are a little bit dry. The sauce was really nice and the blue cheese dressing was really nice. But other than that, they weren't great. And my chicken flatbread, it was nice, it was fresh. The chicken did taste a bit char-burnt. It was just okay. So food, I'm gonna give it 3. The main issue here though is the price. Just those 2 dishes and a side salad, that cost me £42. £42. There's a lot of tourists there, so, you know, you can see why they would go there. But yeah, overall, not the best food and too expensive. So we'll give that a 2. Not great here and a score of 9.5, but as I say, a recurring theme here was the staff were all fantastic. I genuinely cannot fault them, and it's not their fault the prices are so high either. Before the final restaurant, we needed a little bit of a break, and we were meeting up with my father-in-law who was going to come to the final restaurant with us. So we headed on down to the British Museum because we decided we wanted to go and look at some Egyptian mummies to pass the time and walk off the food. Saw some pretty cool things in there, including my own sarcophagus, but pretty soon it was time for our final reservation and the final stop on my tourist trap tour. Happy. Now remember what I said about menus with pictures of the food on them? Well, look at this. I've never seen anything quite like it. You ask me, it's a horrible looking menu. Now, Happy prides itself on the fact that in 2022 and 2023 it won London's best restaurant, which is crazy. And in 2024 it won Restaurant of the Year. I was shocked to learn it had won these awards at all, to be honest with you. Like, shouldn't a Gordon Ramsay or something win that, you know? But then I suppose it's more of a casual dining experience that more people can afford that would come here, which is maybe why it won those awards. Afford. That's a funny word. Anyway, the vibe check passed. It was a pretty place. It's still just a shame that the menu looked like a 1-star pub laminated it in 2003 and never looked back. And speaking of the menu, you'll notice that some of the items on it say table show. I think this is where it helped it win awards, because they're meant to come over and cook things in front of you and sort of make a bit of a song and dance and show about it all. Like, making the food in front of you, mixing the guacamole, or shaving some cheese for you, or injecting it into some burgers, stuff like that. We asked the waiter and he just told us that they weren't doing them at the minute, which was really disappointing actually. I mean, it's kind of one of the main reasons that we came to Happy in the first place. And another thing, I thought I'd search them up on YouTube so I could at least show you some of these table shows, but all of these different reviews and people that have gone to Happy and filmed their experience, none of them are table shows. So at this point, I feel like it's just a trick of the restaurant to whack it on the menu, try and entice you in when you're looking at it outside and you're like, oh yeah, there's a table show, best restaurant of the year, let's go in, let's do that, let's see what it's like. No, you don't get table shows. I think it's just like a one-off every so often. I don't know. If someone knows, let me know, but it's just really disappointing. You have to ask at that point, why is it on the menu at all? Just change the menu if you're not going to be doing them. I mean, they should change the menu anyway, but that's just my opinion. After being renamed Anna by my Coke, our food finally arrived. Carolina had some good-looking chicken tacos, my father-in-law had a steak, and I had a chicken steak in a white wine sauce with sweet potato fries. And despite how it looks, the fries were extra on top, and that chicken steak was not cheap. Like at all. Anyway, trying the chicken steak, I was pleasantly surprised. It was moist, tasty, it fell apart, it was done very well. The sweet potato fries were also very well seasoned. There were croutons in my dish as well, which gave things a nice crunch, but I will say, the reason I ordered this, outside of the steak and burgers, it was one of the only things on the menu that didn't look deep fried. Apparently, happiness comes covered in batter and oil. There was a fun button that you can press for service, so when it came time to get our bill, I thought I'd try it out. And it took them approximately 3 minutes and 40 seconds for someone to come over, so at least that worked. But here's the clincher. Those 3 meals, all together, and a few drinks, cost £102.29 with service. In fact, if my father-in-law wasn't there and it was just Carolina and I, and just for those couple of meals and a couple of Cokes and like some chips, it would have cost about £70, which is unreal. So I had a good vibe, the food was tasty, but I just wasn't loving those prices.
I'm just picking Riley up and I realise I forgot to do the score for Happy. So, let's go through it really quickly. In terms of the service, again, the service has been fantastic so far for everywhere. I'm not calling it 5-star service, but everyone was very good and very, very friendly. So they can also have a 4.5. So it's been 4.5s all around there. Food, it was probably the tastiest that we had the entire time. Carolina said her tacos were really, really nice. My father-in-law said that his steak was really nice. It looked a little bit overcooked for me, but it's how he liked it and how he wanted it, right? So he really enjoyed it. So, big thumbs up there. We'll go for a 4. The price, however, I can't go more than a 2.5. Yeah, I'll go for a 2.5. It's okay, but especially for London, but it's not the best. And I'm still really sad that the guy told us they don't do any table shows at the minute. C'est la vie.
Which gives Happy an 11, meaning if you go by the scores that I've given them, out of all of these restaurants, apparently I'd recommend Angus Steakhouse to you, which, I don't know, take it as you will, go there if you want. Anyway, that was fun. Might do it again sometime. But next time, I'm going to go eat more food.